Okay, so I'm super sorry that I have been completely away from making videos. I've been busy with school and just work and just life in general. So I finished my contract in Tennessee. Then I got another contract in New York, but that contract was canceled due to like over needs. They overbooked nurses for New York. And then I had another contract in California, and the same issue, they overestimated the need for nurses in California. So I came back home to Houston to spend time with my family, and then I still have my apartment in Austin, so I came back to Austin. I got a contract with Travis County to work 10 days straight. So they deployed me out to a nursing home that was that needed nurses because all of their staff was out due to COVID. So they had to hire a bunch of travel nurses to come in to work with them to help them, right? So Travis County was then informed that, this nursing home here in Austin needed some kind of help. So the state got involved. So I was working for the state. I got deployed to this nursing home, and I get there and there's only one nurse for the entire COVID floor. So I'm working on this COVID unit, and there's just one nurse for the entire floor and one nurse aide. And what the nurse aide does is change the patients. That's it. That's it. The nurse has to take vitals. The nurse has to give medicine. The nurse has to make sure the patient doesn't die. Making sure the patient doesn't die, that's a huge deal. It's easier said than done. So you have 8 patients. You're the only nurse on the whole floor. If something goes down, exactly. So super unsafe. So I start working there this Saturday, and the night shift nurse leaves. She gives me a report, whatever, and I'm like the only nurse at this point on the floor, and there's just like 2 aides. And remember, there are 2 nurse aides, and they only change patients. So I'm going around taking vitals, making sure my patients don't die, giving meds, taking blood sugars, because I'm doing all that by myself. 8 patients, which they have like high flow on, freaking like these are critical nursing home patients. And like, it's just me. So I cry at this point because I'm frustrated. Like, there's no help, just me, and I cried. And the conditions in the rooms were, so these are COVID patients, they're sick. So the virus already making you lethargic, because those are the signs of the virus, right? Making you lethargic. You have GI symptoms, like you lose your taste, you can't really smell, all these other things. These patients were feeling nauseous, lethargic, and just, the filters in the room weren't working, so the vents are off. So the AC was completely off, super freaking hot, like maybe like 80 something degrees in there. And these patients have been in the non-ventilated rooms for about 5-6 days now, right? Because they've been in there for a couple of days now when that COVID unit opened up at the nursing home. And the rooms are super hot, non-ventilated. The air's not, I'm going in the room and I can tell that the air isn't flowing out. So I mentioned something that Saturday. I was like, hey, like, y'all need to fix oxygens. The night nurse said that she had told them about it. So like they had a AC man come to fix it. And so when I got there that Sunday morning, I told them again, I was like, hey, like the AC isn't working, like, can y'all please fix this? Like, the air isn't moving out. So these patients are breathing the same air that they've been breathing for 5 years. Think about it. That's the same CO2, carbon dioxide, that these patients have been breathing for the past 6 days. Like they don't have no new oxygen. So 4 of the patients were on oxygen, and they had the little oxygen machines with the high flow things on them. So yes, they're getting oxygen, but no fresh air. And the other patients aren't getting fresh air. What is the first sign of low oxygen? Lethargy, confusion, right? This is what these patients were feeling. And I kept saying, I was like, yes, these patients have dementia. Yes, these patients have COVID, but Y'all, the heat, the lack of filtered vented air is making these patients feel even worse. So these patients were having low grade fevers, like I want to say like 99.4. So the highest fever I had out of all the 4 days that I've worked with my patients, one of them had a 99.6 fever. That is a low grade fever that can simply be controlled if you had some kind of like cool surrounding. This isn't even like a real fever. Yes, it is a real fever, but it's a low grade fever that can be controlled if your environment had some kind of cool surrounding or ice applied. Mind you, we didn't even have an ice machine because I wanted to give the patients to put ice underneath. We kept begging for ice to come, like, so we can have like an ice filtration thing or like some chest ice. They didn't give us any ice. So I couldn't put like bags of ice on my patients, to like cool them down. So, yeah. I took the blankets off my patient. I was like, this isn't even gonna help because there is no fresh air. There is no cool air to get on the patients, so like they're gonna keep running this low grade fever, not because they have the virus, but because they're in a freaking hot environment, and so the Monday I got to work. The Sunday, nothing happened. So the Sunday night, apparently the AC man came back to try to fix the ventilation or something, but nothing apparently happened. So the Monday I got to work, and at this point I'm just super angry because at 6 in the morning, I walk into my patient's room because my shift is 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So at 6 in the morning, I walk in to check on my patients, and I'm in a hazmat suit, all this, right? So I'm already hot. So I know what the hot temperatures have been like since I've been there on Saturday, right? So I walk in the room and I'm already hot, like sweating, pouring down. I'm like, something is not right. It is extremely hotter than every other day that I've been in there. So these patients have these oxygen machines, which means that oxygen machine is producing like even more heat to work. Plus all the buildup like carbon dioxide that these patients have been blowing off. Like at no point this is like safe anymore. So I'm super angry. So I text the manager of the nursing home and I'm like, hey, I heard y'all told the state, because I'm working for the state of Texas, right? So I'm working for Austin City. I'm working for Travis County at this point, right? So I was like, hey, I heard y'all so they came by to see the conditions of the nursing home the day before, right? So apparently the nursing home told the state that how they had AC units to put into their rooms, but nothing was done that Sunday. So that Monday morning when I got there, I was like, hey, we need some gowns, we need some like gloves, we need disinfectants, like to disinfect everything in the back to keep the place safe. So I texted her also about the AC, and I was like, hey, I also heard that you guys have some AC units that you guys can put into the windows. I was like, can we please have those ASAP, because the rooms are unbearable, reasons that it's contributing to their like lethargy, their nauseousness, like all these other things. And I was like, these patients also aren't eating, So she did not reply to me, guys. So hours passed. The doctor finally rung, and at this point I'm angry because I've been trying to talk to you guys nicely since Saturday. So it's Monday. It's been 3 days. I've been talking nicely, and if I'm talking to you nicely and something hasn't changed, I'm just not going to talk anymore. I am going to talk, but it's going to be a stern talk. And especially if it has to do with my patients, I play no games. So I'm going to come for you. And if I come for you, it's not going to be nice. And so after she didn't reply to me, the doctor came by and she started wrangling on her patients. And so she comes and she asked me how the patients are doing. At this point, I'm angry because I've been talking for 3 days. Even to the doctor, I was angry because the day before, my patients also haven't been eating. So one of the symptoms of COVID, you get tastelessness. You also tastelessness and then loss of smell or something like that, right? So I said, ma'am, these patients, they have been giving these patients some like medicine to help them with cholesterol and like losing weight and stuff. It's called Med Plus. So I was like, I told the doctor that Sunday, I was when she came by to roll on the patients, like, hey, my patients are drinking the medicine that you guys are giving them. I know that they're going to drink some Ensure. They aren't eating, so I know that they're going to benefit from like this supplement. You know, like they need something. If your body is weak, how do you expect to get better, right? Right. So I told her, so she was like, no, these patients aren't going to get, like, they're not going to drink this. They don't want to eat, nothing. So I was like, okay, whatever. So the next day I come by, so that's Monday when she comes by, when all of this is like going on, you know. So I pulled her to the side and I was like, ma'am, I already went to the change of plans. I already talked to the manager. I told the staff already. I was like, hey, that something needs to be done about what these patients are like going through here. And I was like, as a provider, you need to advocate for your patients now. I already said what I had to say. So I was like, you as a provider, you need to advocate for these patients. I was like, you walk into these rooms, you see how hot it is. Do you think you want to be in there for the past 6 days in this condition? Plus the fact that they're not eating. I was like, I know for the fact that they're going to drink the Ensure. She's replied again, no, they're not going to drink the Ensure because you're not eating. And I said, I know what I'm telling you. I'm giving them this Med Plus. I know that they're going to drink the Ensure. And so she answered me with attitude, and she was like, she told the nurse aide, she was like, go get them the Ensure. Go feed it to them. So the nurse aide goes and she gets the Ensure and she gives it to the patient, and then the nurse aide comes back and she's like, oh, whoa, they drink the Ensure. And I was like, because I told you. So doctors, whoever y'all think y'all are, listen to your nurses, because sometimes we know a thing or two, okay? Okay. Going back to my story. So the doctor leaves and I told her about the AC condition and all of that, right? So she leaves and she goes to tell the management. At this point, the management's upset because I like yelled at them because you haven't been doing anything for the past 3 days. These people are paying hella money to be in this nursing home. Does anybody want their family to be in this condition? I do not think so. So at this point, the doctor goes, she tells the management, the aide that was working with me, she almost has a similar name to my name. So the manager comes to the back, or the director of nursing, whatever her name is. She was like the top dog there. So she comes back and she tells them like, hey, like, I'm super angry that this is going on, all of this. And so then the nurse aide, I wasn't there for that. I was in a patient's room trying to take care of my 8 patients that I have to take care of by myself, make sure that they don't die. So I'm in a patient's room at this point. So when I walked out the patient's room, the nurse aide tells me, well, you know, like the director of nursing or whatever, the boss, she's like super angry because like we told the doctor that how like the patients were in this condition, that something needs to be done. And at that point, I'm just super upset because I've been telling y'all that these are the conditions since Saturday, and you guys knew that these were the conditions from 5 days ago. Because apparently the night nurses or the nurses that were there before me were saying it. So I was angry and I said, I cursed and I said, to do the thing that was right, that's why you're angry? And I was like, if this was any one of their family members in these super hot rooms, not breathing any kind of filtered air, but the same nasty CO2 that they've been breathing for the past 5 days, would they be okay with it? These people are paying money to be here. They don't deserve to be in this mess. And even if they weren't paying any money, they don't deserve to be in this kind of mess. You know what I mean? So I was let go from that job because I advocated for my patients. So then after all that spiel, I told them that how I would get the state of Texas on them because, you know, I was working for the state. So I told them that I would get the state on them because at this point, who would want their family member? Is that okay? That is not okay. So I'm super sorry that I tried to advocate for my patients and then got fired. Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm glad that I said something, and I hope that this can be some kind of something so that we can change the atmosphere we have at nursing homes. These are our family members we are talking about. I know that none of us want our family members to be in any kind of conditions that these poor little people were in. So as human beings, we need to be the people that are willing to make changes and like not afraid to like speak up and like do something about like all the not nice things that are going on in this world. So yes, that's a little spiel on my life. Guys, sometimes doing the right thing doesn't always lead to the nicest outcomes, but sometimes you need to stir things up to make a change. Mic drop.